historically, if we analyze, the Turkish government's policies towards Kurds could be described as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. I was in the 90s with German delegation in Kurdish region. At that time, this paramilitary groups called traitors, they arrested people, tortured, and killed. And later on, the bodies of these people had been thrown on the bridges to cause a politics of fear amongst people, and which called in Turkish context fail meçhul cinayetler, which means the murders by unknown perpetrators, or with other words, we can say extrajudicial killings of people. Today, we witness a collective punishment of Kurdish people. The state is going into with bombs, with tanks, with militaries, going into cities, bombing houses, and killing people in the street in 2015. And this government came to power with a promise to democratize the country. And of course, there is, if you analyze the images, the video clips, the footages, there are serious questions about that the Turkish government flouts the UN conventions. And there will be, I assume, after certain times, people will collect testimonies, documents, and people will go to the crime court, to a war tribunal on this case. At the beginning of the peace process, I didn't believe that Turkish government was interested in peace. AKP government has used the peace process to have a hegemonic domination over the Kurdish population through using the institutions, the state institutions, religions, and as well as financial resources. However, the AKP was never ready to have a peace negotiation, peace talk with the Kurdish representatives. Of course, we as citizens or as academics, we have rights to perform our duties, our civic duties, expressing our worries, our concern, and participating in governance. And academics freedom is central to the core of academic production, academic knowledge in a free society. And it is also democratical and constitutional rights and obligation of citizens in Turkey, in particular academics, standings, government's brutality, racism, and discrimination. And if you analyze the petition, peace petition, it is not a radical text. Really, it is not a radical text. It doesn't call for violence, but it calls for peaceful negotiation. And however, many of our colleagues who signed these petitions, they have been briefly arrested, detained, and some of them now sacked from their jobs. Of course, I should also mention that threats to the academic freedom are not needed in Turkey. Under the military regime in the 80s, 150 academics were expelled from the universities without a court order. However, the current attacks on academics for peace are worrying. In the 80s, the general was in charge and he made decisions and attacked the academics, and not only academics, many people, some of you know what happened in the 80s during the military junta. Yes. Now an elected president and his government are constantly attacking, polarizing society in Turkey. This is worrying. And Turkish President Erdogan, who stated that he doesn't read any book, but he described the academics, pseudo intellectuals, and then continue full of darkness. We should also keep in mind that he started his political career in the parliament as an oppressive leader who is taking legal proceeding against a caricaturist who drove Erdogan as a cat. Erdogan attacked him, and of course there is an ongoing conflict between academics, between journalists, between different societal segments in Turkey. In the great dictator film, Charlie Chaplin said that dictators are free themselves, but they enslave the people. Today in Turkey we see university chancellors and public prosecutors enslaved and following the instruction from above. However, there is not any legal or legitimacy of disciplines against our colleagues. Arrest and detention are all illegal and all extrajudicial issues. The current witch hunt aims not only to silence the academics, but also opposition to using security forces, mafia leaders, and vice chancellors, and pro-government media, universities, and judicial systems. The attacks on academics are not, or should be understood, is linked to the ongoing attacks of this authoritarian government on journalists, on women, on Kurds, and other social groups. Okay, I think I just want to, what will happen now? I think with the repressive measures taken against the academics in Turkey, we will have some negative impacts